The Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game. Come on!
I can't even believe you said that.
I can't even believe I watched that game last night. And you might be like, Spadoni, you need to be more specific. Do I? Because you could have picked either of those trash Monday Night Football games and you would have been correct. Oh my God. Like, you knew they were going to be bad when you saw the slate and you were like, you were watching the afternoon games on Sunday and you're like, okay, wow, we got Bills, we got Lions. Wow, we got, Tampa, we got Tampa versus the Chargers. Okay, these are good. We got Philly, we got Pittsburgh. Wow. I'm sure Monday Night Football is going to be awesome. Okay, I see the Vikings. All right, who are they playing? Oh. Bears? Oh, but it's a doubleheader. Oh, okay, something's got to be great there. Raiders, Falcons. Desmond Ridder versus Kirk freaking Cousins. And that is exactly what we got. Desmond Ridder versus Kirk Cousins. 15-9, the final. Oh my God. Vikings, they look like the Vikings at least. Yeah, that was rough. And for those of you who are so quick.
Kirk Cousins.
Thank you. For those of you who are so quick, want to fire Shanahan, want to get rid of Brock Purdy, I urge you just to watch the quarterback play of last night and the coaching of last night. It was awful. Raheem Morris, Antonio Pierce, my guy, Thomas Brown, who he's an interim. I'm not going to be too hard on that. He's an interim coach. Whatever. But you saw what coach was an elite one yesterday. It was only one of them of the four teams. That's Kevin O'Connell. And what he has done with Sam Darnold, what he had done with Kirk Cousins, for that matter. He is one of the most underrated coaches in the NFL currently. Oh, yeah, and by the way, the Vikings are 12-2, and they got a chance to win the division now. God, NFC North is stacked. Bears, just get a coach. I still believe in Caleb. I think he's going to be very good. Get an offensive mind. Go get Ben Johnson. All right? He'll be fine. All right. We got a lot to get into today. We had the GOAT, Jerry Rice, on yesterday on the Morning Roast as he joins us courtesy of the River Islands guest line. And he joins the morning Roast once a month. And when we've had Jerry on, it's usually after a horrible loss. It just has been. Whether it was the Chiefs, whether it was the Seahawks, and now against the Rams. But we had him talking about Devondre Campbell, Deebo Samuel, Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy, all of it. And you can find the entire thing. We had to cut down a little bit because we're going to do a replay here in a couple minutes. But you can find the entire interview on YouTube. Also download the Odyssey app. If you want to hit us up, 888-957-9570 is the number. Call or text the Comcast Biz text line. Good morning to ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. If you're just getting off work, getting ready for school, getting ready for shopping, getting ready to do whatever, appreciate you stopping by. It's the pregame show, Joe Spadoni. You got me for the next hour before handing it off to Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky. They'll have Brian Baldinger on at 7:30, and that is also appointment radio. So not only did you get Jerry Rice yesterday, you get Brian freaking Baldinger today. Can't wait for that. But without further ado, I should probably throw to the GOAT, because when the GOAT speaks on such matters as Devondre Campbell, and this happened prior to the news that he is going to serve a 3-game suspension, that courtesy of Ian Rappaport of NFL Network broke the news there that the San Francisco 49ers will be suspending Devondre Campbell for the final 3 games of the regular season without pay. And we started off the interview. I say we because I'm a part of the show, obviously. But Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky asked what Jerry Rice would have done if Devondre Campbell did that and he was on the team with him.
There on the football field. Not in the locker room. Because if you're not ready to go to battle with your team and you guys, the time, the preparation, the sweat, the tears, everything that you have poured into the season, it came down to that game. And we knew the importance of that game, and for him to refuse the way he did, I think it would have got dealt with right there on the sideline.
You never played on a team where someone literally quit like that?
No. You know, I remember watching this with Antonio Brown. You know, when he was with the Patriots. He took off his entire
with the Buccaneers,
the Buccaneers and stuff like that. And no, but I have never encountered a situation like this where someone actually that's under contract didn't want to go on to the football field and play for his team, for the city of San Francisco, and just walked off. I'd never been around that. And never wanted to be around that. But, you know, I think we had such great leaders, you know, guys that would have dealt with that right there on the football field, that players knew that once you in, it's like one heartbeat, that's it, and you have to be totally on board.
Yeah, totally. What are you seeing with Deebo Samuel right now? I mean, he drops that ball, and the fans were just they were giving it to him. And I know that he wants to play better, obviously. It's just he's had a really tough year. What are you seeing from him in his lack of production right now?
Man, I don't know what is going on, because, you know, the weirdest thing is I think he maybe had 3 catches for 16 yards.
Yeah, Jerry, he has 101 receiving yards the last 5 weeks. 101 receiving yards the last 5 weeks. You do that in a quarter.
Hey, man, I'm going to tell you, for me, I would have been pissed. I would have been pissed at myself. I would have been pissed at the whole, you know, scenario. And I would pretty much go to work on the football field during practice. And if you do it during practice, you're going to be able to do it during the game. That ball that he dropped, okay, after you complain about not getting that many touches, you cannot drop the football. Yeah, I mean, you know, because everybody is going to get down on you, and they're going to come after you. So, you know, I never said anything about not getting touches or anything like that. I just worked, man. I just kept working, and if you show it during practice, you know, they're going to make the call during the actual football game, where you're going to have opportunities where you can make catches, get into a rhythm, and be productive.
Jerry Rice here on the River Islands guest line on the Morning Roast here on 95.7 Game. We're glad to have the greatest football player who's ever played before, the touchdown leader, greatest receiver, you name it, the greatest Niner. Jerry Rice here on the Morning Roast with Shasky and Bonte. Let me ask you about Brock Purdy and the contract leaks from his agent. Before we even get to the money, do you believe Brock Purdy's only 24 years old? A lot of people flipped out Brock. They think they could improve. Do you believe Brock Purdy can improve? And what areas can he improve in if you do believe he can improve at the quarterback position?
He can improve if you keep building around him. You got to give him the weapons. And these weapons, they got to produce. I mean, you can't. Football is a team sport, and if the Dallas Cowboys, if they gave Dak Prescott $60 million, Brock is going to ask for probably the same amount. Plus, Brock also has taken the San Francisco 49ers to the Super Bowl. Dak hasn't done that. So, it's just about the right time and being in the right position. But he can get better if you keep adding, to the puzzle where this guy doesn't feel the pressure of having to do it on his own on the football field, where you got other weapons out there that can make plays and also take some of that pressure off.
Yeah, clearly the weapons haven't been great this year. The line has been suspect at best. Do you think he's had a good year, though?
No, he hasn't had a Brock year. I think his passing rating is about around 45. I think he has only 15 touchdowns that he has thrown or something like that. So it hasn't been a Brock year, but, guys, I don't like making excuses. Everybody talking about, there are so many injuries and stuff like that. I don't care about that. that doesn't mean anything to me. You still find a way to win. Everybody got, excuses out there. And this is like, the offensive line, so many players hurt and stuff like that. Man, forget that, man. You're a team. You find a way to win no matter what. And I'm tired of hearing all that.
What about, though, I hear you, Jerry, because I'm with you. But up to the sense of, I do watch these games, and I see Debo can't get off a press, man. I see George Kittle in and out of the lineup. I see running backs dropping like flies. I see offensive linemen getting pushed back and getting the trenches dominated like Thursday night. Doesn't it matter just a little bit? You can only do what you have out there that's available to you?
The next man up, man. Next man up. You get paid. You getting paid, and whoever is on that football field got to be accountable and got to be willing to sacrifice and make plays to help that team to win. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's just the bottom line. So everybody keep pointing fingers and doing all that. Saying that, it's one of those seasons where we got so many injuries. There's injuries all over the league.
Right.
It's happening everywhere. But why are we having so many injuries? Are we really pushing ourselves really hard during the week, during practice? Or if we just pretty much bullshit, then go into a ball game, then expect your body to all of a sudden react to emotion that you haven't done over and over during the week.
Yeah, I hear that. Jerry, you said this last time I think this was right after the Chiefs game. You were hot after the Chiefs game. We're all hot after the Chiefs game. I'm going to play this cut, and then I'm going to ask you on the back end, do you think you see an improvement in this area? Take a listen to this, Jerry.
I look at body language before a game, the opponent, the home team, and stuff like that. I just felt like we were not fired up for that game. And it showed. It showed, and you get the ball. I want to see an offense sprinting to the field, saying, hey, let's go. And I'm just watching guys just move real slow and almost like, hey, just another game. It really doesn't mean that much. All of that. That's what I saw. That's the body language that I saw.
Have you seen any improvement from this team in terms of body language and spirit and energy since that Kansas City game?
No. If anything, it has gone the other direction. And the reason why I say that is that you got to love the game of football, and you got to pour your heart into it. And it's like you still see little pieces where. Like say a Fred Warner, a Greenlaw, some guys, actually showing that energy. But I really want to see that from everybody, from all the players. So yeah, I don't think it has gotten better. I think if anything, it went the other direction.
Jerry, I was thinking about, and Bonte and I have referenced this over and over. You and Steve went down, I believe, in 96 or 97, opening game against Tampa. You battle all year to come back, and then you get hurt right away. I believe it was on prime time, catching a touchdown pass in the end zone. Seeing Dre Greenlaw and how hard he's worked to come back and to have that half of football, it was like, wow. I mean, we all love him. We missed him so much. Did you have a chance to talk with him, either during the rehab process or would you have to tell us what those conversations sounded like?
Well, not doing the rehab or anything like that, but, it's like when he was on the football field, you could feel that energy. I mean, I think Fred Warner, I think Bosa, I think everybody plays better when he's out on that football field because he brings that intensity. But it was great to see him get back on the football field. You saw him sprinting and you saw him making tackles, and being an impact and just typical Greenlaw that So, I hope it continues where he can just get back into that rhythm again and be that leader.
Jerry, I scroll the internet sometimes. I'm on Instagram. You're just scrolling. And I've seen this video a few times where Steve Young goes, we win the Super Bowl, and I come back into the facility. I'm going to clean out my locker, and nobody's there. And I look out onto the field, and there's Jerry Rice running wind sprints. And there's no one even throwing you a ball. You're just out there running routes as if someone's throwing you the ball because you were so dedicated to your craft. When you see all this talk about money and finances and contracts and all the stuff that's not football, what does a throwback grinder like Jerry Rice think when it comes to this? I know there's a business side of it, but from the fans, we get a little exhausted over all the contract stuff.
Yeah, it's hard, man, because I'm not going to get in front of anybody getting their money or whatever, but there's a certain standard that comes along with that. So it's like accountability on the football field, not only just playing football, but also to the fans. And that's something I always took a lot of pride in, and it's hard. It's really hard because another thing too that really baffles me a little bit is all the distractions right before the actual kickoff. With and I know you love your family. I know that. I don't have a problem with that. But there comes a time where on that football field now it's time to go to work. And there's way too much activity happening before the game, and that was something. And maybe I'm like that old dinosaur, man. I don't know. That field is sacred. I mean, that's where you do your battle. That's where you fight. And I think it's okay for to have family down there for a certain amount of time, but then they got to go.
Yeah.
Now it's time to focus on the opponent. And it's just way too much. It's people being way too relaxed before the game. I want to see that intensity. I want to see that fight. I want to see that Russell Crowe. I want to see that, the gladiator, whatever comes into this arena, we have a better chance of survival if we work together. That's what I want to see.
I feel you, Jerry. I know
football right there.
I know exactly what you're talking about before the game, all the pregame festivities, and there's a lot going on. 15 minutes before kickoff, and we're kissing babies or whatnot. Now it's a new day and age, so they do things a little different than you, Jerry. Chasky and I are old school too. Like we like when it's football time, it's lock in. 45 minutes before the game, hey, you could just go to the suite. I'm getting my stretcher on this time to get fired up. I understand completely what you're talking about, Jerry. We're talking to the great one, Jerry Rice here in the Morning Roast. What are you looking for from this team the rest of the way? And what gives you hope for this team in 2025?
Man, I think what I'm looking for is, for players not to give up. There's still opportunities out there where you can make a statement. So looking for them to continue to fight. And what I'm hoping for is to get the contract all situated with Brock Purdy, get that out of the way, to know that, that he's going to be the quarterback of the future for the San Francisco 49ers and just continue to build around him. But we just have to finish this season out and get ready for next year. I'm looking for big things. I'm expecting the same thing next year is for them to win it all.
Jerry, when I think of you and some of the other guys that are at the games, like Steve Young, obviously, he clearly cares about the organization. He's a Niner, you know what I mean? Through and through. Mm-hmm. And the Justin Smiths, the Frank Gores, the Patrick Willises, Yeah. I know you talk to all these guys. Who's the most, outside of yourself, who's the most emotionally ticked off that the team stinks right now? Like, who's the guy that won't leave you alone because he's really, he's just frustrated. Like, who's the guy you talk to from the 49er past?
I think it's everybody, all the 49ers. It's frustrating because I think so many of the old veterans, they feel like we put these guys in a position where they can be successful and also where they can earn the big money. And guys before us put us in a position where we could earn the big money. So there's an accountability, respect that comes along with that. So a lot of those guys are frustrated because we were about that standard. And that standard was like, you had to win. There was no shortcuts or anything like that. We were going to work hard during the week. We were going to have great leaders. We were going to go out there and fight every ball game, and we were going to win. no matter what. Even if you had to, cut your finger off, running lock. Yeah. You remember he cut his finger off because he wanted to play. So I think the Niners they're not saying they're gonna have to cut limbs off or anything like that, but it's just that they're gonna have to they're gonna have to look back on this season and say, hey, look, we could have done better, and let's make adjustments or do what we got to do and come back, finish this year off strong and get ready for next year.
Jerry, I remember vividly this last time the 49ers won a Super Bowl. You guys got blown out against Philadelphia at Candlestick, and Steve Young went crazy because he got benched by George Seifert. He let George Seifert hear it. You guys lost a meaningless game, and that was it the rest of the way. You guys blew everybody out. You guys rolled to a Super Bowl. How would you assess Shanahan this season as a head coach of the 49ers? Because, I don't think he should be fired. I don't think even his seat is hot. But there's been some things in the red zone and some play calling situational play calling last week, 3rd and 6. You run into Debo right up the middle. I'm thinking, what the hell? Put that ball in the air. How would you assess Shanahan's season?
It's been a rocky road, man. It's been highs and lows, and I think it's exactly what Steve Young said. He got to reinvent himself. It's like defense coordinators, they catch up to you. They know your scheme and stuff like that. And if you don't do certain things, they're going to take away, the strength of your offense. So my thing is, we know that we don't throw the ball that much to the outside. You need to spread that offense out and let these route runners, these playmakers, run routes and be able to get away from, bump and run, actually timing routes and stuff like that. I just feel like everything is so condensed, and it's like the lanes are very difficult because they're very small. When you spread everything out, there's bigger lanes where the quarterback can actually deliver the football. And we also know that also Brock Purdy is not like a 6'4" quarterback. With everything being condensed like that, he's not going to be able to see over that offensive line, like a guy that's 6'4" or much taller. So there got to be lanes where he can throw the football. So, like Steve said, I think he got to reinvent himself, but just let these playmakers go play, man.
Yeah, Juwan Jennings is having a monster year. I just love the fight from Juwan and what I see from him. And he had a couple of drops.
Oh, yeah.
The last game. And then there's also Ricky Pearsall. I'm not seeing a whole lot, but I don't have the astute eye that maybe you have in what you're looking for from a wide receiver. How would you assess those two players, Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall?
Well, Jennings, he's that fiery beast, man. I'm telling you, if anything is over the middle or anything, if he gets his hands on the ball, he's going to make the catch. And Pearsall, I think he had, oh my God, he had over 100 plays or more. He had one catch or something like that. I don't know what's happening with that scenario, because it's like, if you get that many reps on the football field, you should be able to get separation and also be able to be an impact and make plays. I think the one play he had was that touchdown that he was able to. He caught the ball and he was able to run away from everyone else. So I don't know if they're not giving him opportunities or whatever, or he's not getting separation. But you got to pick and choose your medicine. You got to pick one of those guys. Hey, is it going to be Debo? Is it going to be Jennings? That you got to get the rock to. That's going to open up everyone else. You can't just, spread the ball around, and have that mindset. You got to let your main playmaker go ball. So if that's going to be George Kittle, let him go ball, man. That's going to open up the run. So one, you got to decide, okay, if we're going to run this rock, if we're going to run it, commit to the run. And then once they try to take that away, now you got the pass. So, if you're going to commit to the pass it. Once they take that away, now you got the run. So football is not that complicated, guys. It's not that complicated. And if the Niners do that, I think they're going to have better results on the football field, and they're going to be able to get those W's.
Yeah, during the 3-game stretch, Ricky Pearsall had ran 63 routes, had 3 targets and no catches. That's pretty remarkable. That's insane. He's just out there getting cardio.
What do you mean remarkable? What do you mean remarkable?
What I mean is that's ridiculous.
I'm sure he doesn't feel that way.
I know it is. I'm just saying, how does that happen at wide receiver when you run
274
I understand. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's remarkable in the ridiculous sense that the guy's just out there getting cardio. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? If that had been me back in the day, it would have been chairs thrown this way, that way, everything.
The great Jerry Rice, Hall of Famer, there joined the Morning Roast yesterday. Again, you can find that entire interview. That was just a snippet. That was 20 minutes, but still, that's how long they had Jerry on yesterday. I think they had him on for like a half hour. He was that freaking good. So go on the YouTube app, favorite 95.7 The Game, find it there. Also download the Odyssey app, favorite 95.7 The Game, find it there as well. We got to take a quick break. Come on back. More of your calls, more of your texts, reaction to what Jerry Rice said. And I know how Jerry would have handled the Devondre Campbell situation. He talked about it. I know he would have handled it. I don't know if things would get physical, but he would have confronted him. We need to talk about what one 49ers captain said in the locker room yesterday. That's really not sitting right with me. We'll get to that on the other side. Plus, Joe Lacob, Mike Dunleavy, they spoke about the Dennis Schroeder acquisition to the Golden State Warriors. We'll get into that. And we got a lot more of Monday Night Football reaction. 888-957-9570. We're all doing that on the morning. Oh, I almost said the morning roast. It's not. The pregame show on 95.7 The Game.
Many architects and builders who team up with Golden State Window and Door Design are familiar with their list of vendors, including Marvin. We are a one-stop showroom for attractive, energy-efficient windows. We're a Marvin direct dealer, and our extensive inventory provides beauty, simplicity, and competitive pricing. Talk with your clients, then visit goldenstatelumber.com.
Spadoni on 95.
That's right there on the football field. Not in the locker room. Because if you're not ready to go to battle with your team and you guys, the time, the preparation, the sweat, the tears, everything that you have poured into the season, it came down to enough.
Jerry Rice yesterday, morning roast. He would have dealt with that on the sideline if Devondre Campbell tried to pull that bleep. And now we know that John Lynch did go on the sideline and tell him to kick rocks. And now we know that Devondre Campbell suspended for 3 games without pay. So, see ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. So we hear what Jerry had to say. And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the pregame show. Joe Spadoni, as Moses Moody just said. And Moses Moody, is he all right? Dealing with an injury right now? Moses Moody. Another absence coming? I do wonder, and we'll get back to the Niners in a second, what his future is going to be here in the next month or so in Golden State. I don't think the Warriors are done trading anyone, and it does feel like Moody is going to be a prime trade candidate, whether it's alongside of someone else. Is it going to be Wiggins? Is it going to be Looney? Is it going to be Kuminga, Pajemski? There's just seems like another big trade is going to happen. I wouldn't call the Schroeder trade a big one. It was a solid move. Nothing big. Could Schroeder be packaged on for another deal? We'll get into what Mike Dunleavy had to say yesterday in regards to that, plus what Joe Lacob, the owner of the Warriors, had to say as well. But we're talking about Devondre Campbell and that whole situation. Well, Nick Bosa, one of the captains and the captain alongside Fred Warner on that defense for the San Francisco 49ers, spoke yesterday to the media. And he was asked about the Devondre Campbell situation, if he had, sensed anything in the locker room prior to the game.
I actually did. In the locker room before the game, I heard some complaining. I was going to say something, didn't, because I didn't want to create more of a distraction, but kind of felt it. I kind of saw the foreshadowing, and I definitely didn't think it was going to result in that. Didn't know it happened during the game, but...
Do you regret not saying anything now?
Not really. No. If he was going to do that, then he's not the type of guy to be here, so...
That's a captain. That's a captain. Listen, I'm all for letting your play do all the talking for the most part, but when you actually do have to speak, and when it comes to situations like what arose in the locker room last Thursday, and you sensed an inkling, Nick Bosa, that one of your players that's going to end up having to play because Dre Greenlaw's coming back, you don't know if he's on a snap count, and obviously he was because he played the first half, and that was enough because he started getting a sore Achilles, sore calf. So you need to address something like that. You can't just say, oh, yeah, I thought about doing something, but I decided not to do it because, I didn't want to make it more of a distraction. Like, more of a distraction than it is already right now, because that's all anyone has ever talked about when it comes to national media, when it comes to here at the station, when it comes to Bay Area media. It's all everyone's talking about. And you had a chance to nip that in the bud real quick, confront him and say, hey, are you either all in or all out on this game today? Because if you're not all in, you can stay in the locker room and just, that's fine. Well, someone else will step up. Demetrius Flanagan fouls, or D Winters, someone else. But instead, he chose not to do anything. Again, I think the captain, the C thing is more symbolic than anything. It's, just usually goes to the best players on the team or someone that's an emotional leader on the team. But in this case, you needed to do something. It was not symbolic. It was, no, Kyle Shanahan, and I get it, it's player voted on, and Shanahan honors what the players do, but you're basically one of the generals of that team. And you got to form ranks, baby. So when a corporal or a lieutenant, whatever the hell ranking Devondre Campbell is, he went AWOL, so it doesn't really matter at this point. But you got to hold them in line, man. And I do wonder, and I am curious, if other players, other captains also heard this and decided not to do anything about it. Because it sounded pretty clear that Campbell was voicing his frustrations quite loudly in the locker room. And they decided not to do anything else. I'm going to listen to this one more time from Nick Bosa talking about the complaining of one Campbell prior to the game.
I actually did. In the locker room before the game, I heard some complaining. I was going to say something, didn't, because I didn't want to create more of a distraction, but kind of felt it. I kind of saw the foreshadowing, and I definitely didn't think it was going to result in that. Didn't know it happened during the game, but...
Do you regret not saying anything now?
Not really. No. If he was going to do that, then he's not the type of guy to be here. So.
Was going to say something, but didn't. That's a whole nothing burger for me. Could have done something, but you didn't. Didn't want to create more of a distraction. Like wearing, I don't know, a MAGA hat after a game and storming an interview. Didn't want to create a distraction like that. Right? Come on, Nick. And I don't care that he wore a MAGA hat, but don't come out and say that you didn't want to make more of a distraction when you yourself made a distraction off the field. Crashing an interview earlier in the season. That was after a win, though, so everything was okay. Now a little adversity hits. You guys are on a losing streak. You got some disgruntled player that's getting benched who has started for all season, even though he should have known that he was going to get benched at one point when Dre came back. That's when I need a guy like Nick Bosa to check Campbell and say, nah, dude, you knew the deal when you signed up here. Dre Greenlaw's coming back. He's going to start. Now, apparently there was more to the story, and I believe it was our guy, Matty Barrows, from The Athletic, who covers his team, does a great job. We love Matty B. He kind of followed up with Bosa and was like, was it Campbell upset because he was actually going to be behind D Winters as well? And maybe that was the reason. But again, I don't care. I need to lean on my captains in a situation like that. Whether it's Fred, whether it's Nick, whether it's Kittle. And I heard what Kittle had to say after the game. I heard what Brock had to say after the game. I heard what Dre Greenlaw had to say. I know Fred Warner's feelings. I know what Kyle Shanahan said. What did Nick Bosa say after the game? He said he didn't really want to speak on it. He didn't know all the facts, he said. Well, it kind of sounds like you did, Nick, because you heard it before the game. So you did know. So you did know. And you just didn't want to speak out after the game, which totally his right. He doesn't have to speak about it. But again, that's when I need my captain to step up on the defense. I shouldn't have to have George Kittle, an offensive guy, speak on that. I need one of the leaders of my defense speaking up about that, because I know what Kittle's doing each and every week on offense. He's trying to will that team offensively. So I just thought that was a very tough look for Nick Bosa, for the 49ers. I commend, John Lynch for what he tried to do and what he did do. And obviously, again, the suspension, I think that's the right move. I don't think cutting him would serve anything at this point. But accountability with this team is just, it hasn't been there this season. And it's just a sign and a symbol of what has taken place all season long and prior to the season, to be quite honest. And got 3 more games to go, so the season's not over yet. Dolphins, Lions, Cardinals. Let's see how this team responds and if they play with any pride in these final 3 games. What's their percentage to even make the playoffs? I don't even know. We'll get that on the other side. We're going to take a quick break. Come on back. Put a bow on this 49ers talk. Joe Shasky's heated, though. Hold on real quick before, Joe, you start talking. I know what you're going to talk about. Joe Shasky mentioned on the Morning Roast yesterday that he was going up against the Atlanta Falcons defense in fantasy. I saw on Yahoo anyways, the Falcons ended up having like 20 points defensively. They had a couple block punts. They had a safety. Did not have a pick six, but Desmond Ridder was awful. Joe Shasky, did you survive?
Yes, I did. I just want to say...
Hold on. Pot up his mic, Sam Lubman. Sam Lubman, pot up his mic. It's not up. He's not the one he's usually up on. Yep, there you go.
I just want to say to all Raiders fans, I don't know how you do it.
Oh, well.
I know, honestly, Desmond Ridder might have played the worst quarterbacking performance I've ever seen in my life. How he is a quarterback in the NFL is beyond me. And how the Falcons thought they could go into a year with him is unreal. Blocked field goal, blocked punts on almost every punt. Okay, it was every single drop back. I was like, what is the worst possible thing that could happen? Because that literally could happen right now. They got a safety. It was the most predictable safety. They were backed up into their own end zone.
Gun run it, too. Smart. You gun run in the end zone.
And what's crazy, I was less impressed with Kirk Cousins. Anyone that wants Kirk Cousins needs to go to an insane asylum, even if we don't even have him.
So you advanced.
I don't know how you Raider fans do it. It has been seriously 20-something years. No, I'm being real.
Well,
it's been 20 years, essentially, of it's not even watchable.
No. But that's why, if they had won that game yesterday on that Hail Mary, they would have dropped from the number 1 overall pick to the 7th. They almost tried to win that game, they almost did, which is sad.
To clean all the house.
Yes, that's what they're going to do.
Tom Telesco has to go too.
No, I think Telesco's staying because his draft class has been pretty good.
No, the defense played hard. And Antonio Pierce,
he hit Brock Bowers. He hit on Jackson Powers-Johnson.
If you can't get the offense right, you can't function.
I know. And I think they're going to get if they don't win another game, they're going to get Shador or Cam Ward. So they are going to get a quarterback.
And the Falcons are the worst 7-7 team I've ever seen in the history of the NFL.
That's Joe Shasky. He had Jerry Rice on yesterday. They're going to have Brian Baldinger on later today. He might talk about that game and the awful performances. I know they're going to talk about Kyle Shanahan, Devondre Campbell, Brock Purdy, but Desmond Ridder did score a touchdown, and I think that did save Joe Shasky's fantasy season on 95.7 The Game.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for University Housing.
risk at times. I think we missed Melton. We were better with Melton. So I think he's a pretty good proxy for him. He's having a great year, actually. He's always killed the Warriors. You know, we identified him and went after him, obviously. We thought Brooklyn was a good target for this, and we got a deal done. So we're actually real happy with him.
Joe Lacob there, owner of the Golden State Warriors, talking about the Warriors' acquisition of Dennis Schroeder. Obviously, trade away DeAnthony Melton, Reese Beekman, and 3 second-round picks. They also get a pick back. So you get Dennis Schroeder. What's he going to look like? We'll find out on Thursday in Memphis when the Golden State Warriors take on the Memphis Grizzlies. You'll hear all that right here on 95.7 The Game, your home for Golden State Warriors. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Pregame show, Joe Spadoni. You got me for one more segment before handing it off to Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky in the Morning Roast. They are fired up. They're just talking about it, and I see it on my screen right now. Just the abysmal doubleheader last night in Monday Night Football. My God. Both those games is trash. Bears, not good. Falcons, not good. Raiders, not good. Vikings, good. That was my summation of yesterday's games. That's all you really need to know. How good is Dennis Schroeder? How good is he going to be on this team? What are the Warriors expecting from him? Mike Dunleavy talking about what Schroeder brings to this team.
The play style stuff, rotations, all that's on Steve. We've talked about it thoroughly, though, and I think he's open and aware to some of the strengths Dennis has and what he can bring to the table. It's no secret we need to improve offensively, and sometimes making some shifts in what you're doing and philosophically is the right way to go about things. So we'll see how that unfolds, but yeah, we know who Dennis is as a player. We know what we're acquiring, and in order to play to his strengths, we may have to shift some things.
And what are his strengths? He can drive to the rim, knock down a three. He could create his own shot off the dribble. He could dish it. He's averaging his highest assist totals of his career right now. He gives you energy. He plays bigger than his size. I think he's listed at 6'1", but he's long, he's lengthy. We know how he is defensively when he's going out against guys like Steph Curry in the past. He's been a pest. He's been a hound. He could do that to guys like Kyrie. He could do that to guys like, Derek White or a Peyton Pritchard. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but you look at the Western Conference specifically, a Mike Conley, if you will. Guys like that. Make it hard for them. Now, what does this Schroeder acquisition mean for some other players? That's the real question, because it's all great. Yeah, Schroeder's a good player, but what does it mean for everyone else? That's the juicy stuff. That's what people want to get into. All the drama. So, Mike, what does this acquisition mean for a guy like Brandon Podziemski?
I think this move for both him and Steph is something we view as additive and helps them. Brandon was really, really good last year, and I think part of it was having Steph and CP, 2 other handlers alongside him. And so I think this move enables Brandon and Steph to always be on the court with another handler, whether it's the 2 of them or Dennis and Brandon or Dennis and Steph. So I think it makes a lot of sense. And again, I think this is something that boosts and helps Brandon. So we feel good about it in that regard as well.
It's going to help both of them alleviate some stress specifically for Podziemski, but also Steph a little bit too, because you're seeing it. I mean, the Warriors have lost 8 of their last 10. You can see it on Steph. You can see him physically. You can see him mentally. They ask a lot of it. If he's not on his A game, they are not winning these games. And it sucks because when you get a performance like he did shooting-wise from Andrew Wiggins the other day when he was scoring left and right, it didn't end up mattering because defensively they just weren't up to the task against the Dallas Mavericks, who were just insane. Luka Doncic, 40 points. Clay was getting everything he wanted from beyond the arc. Kyrie with a quiet 20 points. So they were all on it. And you need to relieve Stephen Curry somewhat, some of the pressure on him as much as you can. And I think Schroeder is going to do just that going forward. Now, are they going to make more trades? And how aggressive are they going to be in the trade market after getting Schroeder? Because it seems like they're pretty aggressive early on. They made this deal pretty early in the window when they, the first day that you could make this trade official. Here's what Mike Dunleavy had to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're always aggressive. You got to be mindful of what you're giving up, what you're getting back, all those things. But anything to do to make the team better, we're going to do. We're in a time zone here of maximizing our window with Steph and Draymond and Steve as our coach. So as proven here on the first day, we could basically make trades with certain players. We did that, and we'll continue to look at things. But, for the most part, I feel good about this team, particularly on the defensive end. And now we add a player that we think can create and generate more offense for us. I want to evaluate and see, but we'll always be looking at stuff.
They'll always be looking at stuff. So we've heard from the GM, the owner now, Joe Lacob. Whenever Joe Lacob speaks, Dub Nation and the rest of us listen. Joey Lightyears. I don't know if the Warriors will make more trades.
We're always looking to improve. I mean, there's no difference between now or we're always going to be looking for the right deal. This is the right deal, came along at the right time, was there for us for the taking. We had the right pieces to make it happen. We're always looking for something else, and if something really makes sense, we'll do it. If it doesn't, we won't. I mean, trades are hard. I've made this comment before. This one was available for us at the right time, and we'll have hopefully another one might be a 2. If it turns out we can be better, I think we'll be better. Obviously, if we keep losing, I'm going to want to trade, do something else. But I really do have faith in this team to play better than we have been playing.
He's got faith. Well, they can't play any worse than they've been playing the last 10 games. It's not been good. 8 of the last 10 they have lost, I should say. So 2 of the games they played well. And not to say they didn't play well against the Mavericks. Obviously, offensively they did, but defensively they just didn't show up. And right now, this team is not good enough to not click on both sides of the ball. Yes, it's nice to hang your hat on defense, and Steve Kerr has said many times that he believes this is a defensive-minded team, and that's good, but offense wins still. And you've got to score consistently. And the Warriors have not been able to do that this season. When it's not Steph, can Andrew Wiggins step up? And when it's Andrew Wiggins stepping up, Steph isn't, and vice versa, and the list goes on and on and on. Now that goes to a guy like Jonathan Kuminga, who's been pretty consistent this season. Now, his role throughout his entirety of his Warriors career and his NBA career thus far has been kind of up in the air. What is he? Is he a 3? Is he a 4? Is he a 6-man? Is he a starter? Who is Jonathan Kuminga? Which kind of makes it hard when you're a guy like Joe Lacob trying to figure out, do I pay this guy a lot? Do I not pay him? What do we do? Is he a part of our plans for now, for the present, for the future? Do we get rid of there's so many different things in regards to Jonathan Kuminga to discuss. Tim Kawakami, TK Pod, in which this sound is courtesy of our friend Tim Kawakami, friend of the station, friend of the program, and friend of Odyssey. Joe Lacob and TK talking about the Kuminga contract talks.
How close do you think you came to signing him to an extension before the deadline?
This has been discussed. I can't go into details of all that.
But I mean, you're known to you like him, right?
Of course we like him. Yeah, and we discussed it with him. But circumstances are unusual the way this works in this league, right? I mean, we do have he's playing for us this year, and we have a restricted free agency coming up this summer, so it's not like we really lost anything here. We get another chance to see him progress and see how good he can be this year. So it's I'm always wondering why anyone signs someone who's entering maybe a restricted free agency. I don't know another business where you pay somebody a year in advance. It's kind of a weird thing, right?
But you do it in sports.
It happens. Yeah. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I'm just saying arguably you shouldn't. So I'm just saying, that's a balance. We like him a lot, and look, I kind of expect him to be a Warrior for a long time. It's not an issue.
Yeah, I was going to say, how hard would it be to trade Kuminga?
I don't really, I'm not going to speculate on that.
TK, Joe Lacob. What are they going to do with Jonathan Kuminga? Part of me feels like he's just going to get traded. I think Moody's going to, there's part of me where the more I'm watching this unfold, the more I think a lot of guys are going to get traded. And something could be in the works. Something big, potentially, could be in the works. Now, are they a player away from winning it? If that player is Jimmy Butler, maybe. They get older, you lose your depth, but you get a potential superstar in the playoffs going along with Draymond Green and Steph Curry. What's that going to take, though? Is it a JK and a Andrew Wiggins? I don't know if I'm doing that. You got to match salaries, you got to do all that, but then you got to mix and match with the NBA trade machine. But this is a crucial stretch right now for the Golden State Warriors as they go on their road trip, as I pull up their schedule right now. So you got Memphis on Thursday. You're in Minnesota on Saturday. Then you're back at home against the Pacers on Monday. Then you got Christmas at home against the Lake Show. Clippers, Suns. So nothing easy coming up here for Golden State. And how are they going to be looking at this season? Because it started off and I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I was saying, man, this looks like a legit playoff team. They don't look like a play-in team anymore. But right now, then you look at the standings and all of a sudden it's, oh man, they're a play-in team. They're currently the 7th seed right now. But having said that, you look at where the Denver Nuggets are in the 5th seed. They've won 3 in a row. They're 14-10. And they have a 2.5 game lead over the 12th seed right now. The Sacramento Kings that are 13-14. So it's like 5 through 12. Nuggets, Suns, Warriors, T-Wolves, Clippers, Lakers, Spurs, Kings. All of those teams mixing and matching. Now, the one team I do expect to fade off a little bit, probably the Spurs, just given their youth, Wembanyama, everything going on with that organization right now. Hope Coach Pop's doing okay, rehab-wise and all that stuff. Obviously, having a stroke earlier this season. So hopefully he's doing okay on the mend. But T-Wolves, Warriors, Clippers, Lakers, Kings, Suns, Nuggets. I expect all those teams to be kind of battling for that 5-6, try to stay out of that play-in window. All right. That was it. That was the show. Morning Roast coming up next. Bonte Hill, Joe Shasky. They got Evan Barnes joining them at 6:50 to talk about the Dennis Schroeder acquisition. And Evan Barnes, as you know, covers the New York Giants, but also covers a lot of other things. Memphis, covers New York sports, covers a lot. Covers sports, man. So talking about Schroeder at 6:50 there. And Brian Baldinger, 7:30, courtesy of the River Islands guest line, Baldy's Breakdowns. Need I say more? No. Have a good morning, everybody.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
Are you a plumber, steam fitter, or HVAC-R technician looking to make the most of your career? Listen to what UA Local 38 member Jeremy has to say.
My name is Jeremy. I'm in UA Local 38, and I work for Matrix HG.